If we Americans are to accept hatred, all right, and if Jimmy Kimmel had his way, he would destroy, and I don't mean that literally, but he'd celebrate if something bad happened to Trump or Trump was thrown out or any of that. So I just think that goes beyond.
You mean like when Trump said that? You mean like when the president says he's happy that Mueller's dead? Like that kind of thing?
Okay,
you think he'd say that if the president died?
That was an unfortunate remark.
Tell me why the Kimmel thing makes sense.
Well, first of all, you didn't define it accurately. It's not about jokes. It's about hatred. So here you have a guy who, day in and day out, hates the president and the office of the presidency, in my opinion. And if the situation were reversed, if there were a right-wing commentator doing what Kimmel does, he would have been off the air eons ago. Disney would have never tolerated that. If you can imagine Barack Obama getting hated on every single day, that would never happen in a million years. The only reason Kimmel's there, for your audience to understand, is that Disney's been threatened by CIA and the other talent agencies that if you do anything to Jim, you're not going to get our personnel, writers and actors and things like that. And so Jim has got this layer of protection. But when Kimmel made the remark about MAGA being somewhat responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, you'll remember that, I cut Kimmel some slack. I say, people make mistakes and you do commentary and if you want to call it satire every night, you're going to get into waters sometimes that are difficult to get out of. So I'm not going to call for any sanctions against Kimmel. I believe I said that on this program. And I was wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because Kimmel has demonstrated to anybody who watches him that he hates. This is hate speech. It's not funny. It's not satire. There's no social redeeming quality to demeaning whenever he can the president and now the first lady. So that's how I would define it. You would define it as a bunch of jokes. I don't see it that way. So we have a gentleman's disagreement.
Well, we don't, because you have a right to your opinion. So do mine. So do I. But there's a lot of case law. See, that's what a lawyer like me looks at. And there is nothing approaching the standard that you want to apply. Of course you don't. Of course you don't. I don't think that's the problem.
No, I don't think that he should be subject to legal proceedings, Cuomo. So why?
Well, that's what's going on. What do you call an FCC? What do you call an FCC review of the license of the stations? What do you call that? It's not legal.
What I call an FCC review. What I call an FCC review is an FCC review.
Yeah. And that's called a legal operation of the U.S. government. What are you talking about? They're legal proceedings. They take years. They take years of legal process, Bill. You got to do the research, pal. This is a nuisance.
The first step is an investigation, which is where we are now. Okay, they're looking at policies by Disney and others that may violate federal law. That's what they're doing now. Okay, nobody's been indicted.
We only know about
handcuffs,
8 Disney stations
around anybody's house.
Well, you don't have to be cuffed to have it be legal, right? I mean, you could get audited. That's a legal process also. Go ahead.
Okay. Look, I'm not interested in being in the weeds here. Okay, I don't have a law degree, and I applaud yours. But I'm telling you, the man's a hater, and on any other scale, if he were not an avowed leftist, he'd be off the air.
Greg Gutfeld's not off the air, and he's a toxic little troll that goes after every Democrat he can, and other members of the media. And he's mean and hateful.
So I'm not
funny either, in my opinion.
Greg Gutfeld. I'm not justifying Greg Gutfeld because I don't use that technique of justifying bad behavior by pointing to other bad behavior. Now, you may think Mr. Gutfeld is a troll or whatever you said. He probably wears a hoodie, okay? And that's up to Fox to deal with him. Do I think it's right? I think that Gutfeld is a entertainer who seizes upon battering the left. I don't see him in the same category as Jimmy Kimmel. Perhaps I'm wrong.
Also, let me be very clear. I don't think Greg Gutfeld should lose his job. I think he should be able to do what he does and do his damnedest at it every night. Just like Kimmel.
Maybe we could have another show,
just like me. I fear the slippery slope.
Maybe we should have another show. Okay, I don't know about any slippery slopes, Cuomo, but maybe we should have another show for Mr. Gutfeld, the troll show. Okay, maybe we can have that. I don't know. I don't even know what the troll is. I think it's a little thing in Denmark that goes around barking at you.
Look
but
it up
anyway,
and you'll see a
the
picture of
seriousness
Gutfeld.
of this. Okay, I guess you don't like him.
Go ahead.
The seriousness.
I don't like him. I don't like that technique. I don't like that invective. I don't know the guy. I don't know him to like him or dislike him. I wish him well, and I want him to be able to do what he does. I believe in freedom of speech. You got to tolerate what you don't like. This president doesn't seem to like that standard.
I'm glad you're troll friendly, but this isn't about anything other than hate. Okay, that's what this is about. And if we Americans are to accept hatred, all right, and if Jimmy Kimmel had his way, he would destroy, and I don't mean that literally, but he'd celebrate if something bad happened to Trump or Trump was thrown out or any of that. So I just think that goes beyond.
You mean like when Trump said that? You mean like when the president says he's happy that Mueller's dead? Like that kind of thing?
Okay,
you think he'd say that if the president died?
That was an unfortunate equivalency of a man who was battered by the phony Russian collusion, impeached twice, under daily hate speech by the media, which despises him. You're making a moral equivalency to Jimmy Kimmel. And there isn't one. Now, do I justify the Mueller comment? I do not. I don't. Okay, for me, but you have me on to give my opinion, Cuomo. Okay?
Exclusively.
So I don't justify.
I want your opinion on something else. I got it. I'm just saying it's just a different standard. Trump doesn't live up to his own standard. That's the thing. That's called hypocrisy. It's not moral relativism. Please make your point, and I want to ask you about something else. So go ahead.
Okay, I already forgot what my point is. I'm still thinking about the hoodie.
I'm going to send you one. It's going to say free Asian. And then on the back, it's going to say, but I love Trump.
Just have your picture on it. That's all I want.
Then you'll really be a target. Adam Smith was probing the topic of the nuclear enrichment with the Secretary of War. I want you to listen to a piece of it. Give me your take, please.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the...
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and we're watching them 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming
might be.
My time for just a quick second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands of missiles.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us at exactly the same place we were before.
You think that answer
So I take my analysis on this from... I take my analysis from this. I don't know about Hegseth. You know, it wasn't my choice. I didn't think that... knowing President Trump the way I do, I didn't think that was the right situation there, just because of experience. But I take my information about this from the IAEA based in Austria, and I had him on my program. This guy is second in command. He says, look, we bombed the hell out of them last July and did severe damage to their nuclear ambitions. However, they had in other places in the country enriched uranium, and they pivoted right over to that to continue their pursuit of a nuclear weapon. That makes perfect sense to me, Cuomo. Does it not to you?
I think that their ambitions are clear. They would love to have a nuclear weapon. I think the mistake, as we've gone over before, is that predicating the need for imminent military action unilaterally on the basis of the emergency that they were weeks away from having a nuclear weapon is a false premise.